Hey, I'm Fred.
And I'm Ant.
And this is Creator Generation.
Create a generation of hype.
All right, Frederico, what is happening this week?
This week we're chatting with Noah from Airoah.
I think we're going to see a lot more skits, mixed media stuff, live action, a lot more just like crossing over about other genres to spice up specifically the animation storytime community.
Airoah.
Airoah. Airoah. I know it so well, but I keep saying it wrong. What's wrong with me?
Anyway, let's find out who we're talking to when we get into the episode.
Frederico, before we get started, we've been working really hard in the background on our own online course called Change Your College, the online college just for content creators. Check it out at
changeyourcollege.com. That's CHANGER college.com.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Welcome to Creator Generation. This week we have Noah. Noah is an animator from the YouTube channel, which I'm going to kook, Airoah.
Yeah, hey, you know, that works.
Every time I try to say it, I get stumbled by reading it compared to when I go to say it. But yeah,
Same.
Noah, what? So Noah, who are you? What do you do? Tell us a bit about your channel.
Well, for starters, I'm Noah Krugson, as I call myself on the YouTube channel. It's definitely my legal birth name, but I'm a cartoonist of sorts, I guess, an animator. I don't know, is that what they call them? And I make mixed medium animations, like 2D stuff mixed with like 3D backgrounds of sorts. And I'm always trying to see what I can do better in my content.
Well, yeah, and pretty amazing content that you're creating with all these different animation styles. But what are you covering in your videos? What are your videos about?
So I started out mainly doing it was like story stuff, like, you know, story times, like, oh, okay, this happened in my life. Here's how I dealt with that situation. Here's the antics that happened surrounding that situation, etc. and whatnot. But I slowly, as of recently, have been veering towards more of just independent kind of cartoons and independent like stories that really didn't happen to me. Or at least I don't hope they happen to me. You know, like fighting robots and interdimension travel and all that. Just kind of like stuff that I find is fun to make and fun to kind of produce. So I hope my audience does. But yeah, it's kind of veered recently to that kind of stuff. Original short stories, original kind of productions in that way.
It's funny because we talk to a lot of creators and often, like, you know, we haven't necessarily seen their back catalog, so we have to, you know, we go back and watch a whole bunch of things. So, you know, we start from sort of the beginning and work our way through, and it was really interesting seeing your progression from, you know, where you started to sort of where you are now. But the funny thing was, normally, like, you know, when those styles sort of change up, people are like, oh, I'm not sure. But I was pretty hooked all the way through, even at the end. Like it was getting pretty crazy, but I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And I ended up with all these questions. I was like, oh. So have you found like the audience has just gone with it and they're just like, this is awesome? I just like the style developing.
I mean, I hope so. If they haven't, then I'm in deep water. I'm in absolute just horrid deep water. But yeah, I mean, I tried to like do a relatively smooth transition between, okay, here's what I did like 10 years ago. Here's something that happened to me like 5 years ago. Something really stupid, like getting a concussion. You know, here's the story around that. To like trying to wean people off of that stuff to more like, okay, so there's this portal that opens and this guy comes through and I fight him and then it all goes down and like that's the video. Yeah, I tried it like at first it was like I would tell the story and then I would sort of by the end of it would slowly progress or degress, I guess, into the skit part of it, the completely like fabricated part of it. And then there's been like parts where I've kind of, or videos like my Can You Eat Dirt one, where I'd frame it as like a question and answer video. Like, okay, here's some audience stuff. Here's some ridiculous stuff that you guys ask. Let me answer it. And then bam, it's just all skit. Yeah. So it's kind of, I've been experimenting through that kind of medium where it's like, okay, I'm familiar with these kind of story videos or / question and answer stuff. And then, oh, okay, this isn't that, but I'm kind of used to it because he did this stuff in his previous, near the end of his other videos. So like that's kind of how I've been going about it. And I've gotten a decent amount of positive feedback from those kinds of wholly or entirely skit based content. So that's been it's been really reassuring to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating how seeing that develop. But I guess before we talk more about that, let's maybe take a step back and can you just tell us
Sure.
how do you got to this point? Like, how did you get into YouTube and become a YouTube creator? Like, where did it all start for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I started way back on YouTube, I guess, in 2015 through a completely different channel. It was my full legal name, and I did like piano videos where I'd like set down the camera on the end of the piano, and I would play like the Sonic the Hedgehog like boss battle theme on the piano because I was like obsessed with that. It was so much fun to play that theme song just over and over and over and over again. My family was driven nuts by this. Like I would just keep on playing the same whatever on the piano every single day. And so I was like, all right, let me upload this to YouTube. Let me record it and upload it to YouTube. Back in 2000, I think it must have been early 2015 because it's been quite a while. But so I uploaded that, and it didn't get a lot of traction. Obviously, it probably only got like a couple views, and then like maybe 100 or so all these years later. But that was my first kind of exposure to YouTube. It was just stupid piano video, uploaded it, and I had a blast because it was so simplistic. I didn't have to edit anything or whatever. And then I kind of just kept on going from there. I was like, all right, I'm interested in piano. That's cool, but I'm not good at it. So I like video games. So I started playing video games and doing Let's Plays, and I was always the kind of growing up the entertainer in my family. So I would do skits, I'd write original stuff, and then in my bedroom like a psychopath, just circling around and moving the camera and playing all the characters to my skits, and just like, all right, I'm on this side of the room, I'll be this character, move the camera, go over there, record that. I use this like probably movie maker level stuff to edit that stuff together. This is like during 2016 to 2017 or so. And yeah, it was like skits and Let's Plays. And I must have been doing that for around 2 years. And it eventually kind of developed into animation based stuff. That's where I really got my footing in terms of 3D animation. Or that's where I really piqued my interest was early or mid 2016. And that was a lot of the content in the midst of the skits and Let's Plays. That was also some of the content that I uploaded. It was really just a complete amalgamation of all these different kinds of content that had nothing to do with each other. There was no continuity. It wasn't good, but it was also practice, and also really helped me figure out that I like doing this. And so from like 2016 to 2015, I should say, to 2000, modern day, there really hasn't been a day where I haven't thought of YouTube, because right after I was done with my older channel, not my oldest, but my older channel, I immediately jumped on to this new channel that was just animation based, and it was completely new. It had nothing to do with my previous channel. No one knew that I was doing that stuff, and now I'm doing this. No one from this modern channel knows that I was doing that until now. And yeah, a little bit of exclusive look into my Let's Play past. I know it's quite the thriller. But so yeah, no, like from when I transitioned from doing skits and those gameplay videos and those brief 3D animation experiments and whatnot, I saw people like Jackademia and The Odd Ones Out and just people that were doing this kind of thing, and I was like, hey, I really like animation, and I know I'm passionate about this. And growing up, I was always drawing, like on road trips, and I was like, all right, cool. I think this is the next step for me. I think that this is something that I really enjoy doing, and here we are. Here we are.
So you had an animation background sort of before you went into this, so you understood the basis of animation.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, it wasn't really a whole lot of 2D stuff. I was definitely more of a hobbyist with 2D stuff, but with 3D, I was like picked up Blender, and I picked up Fire Alpaca, and I just, I made really just awful 3D shorts. But it was also, it was a stepping stone, and that was like kind of my introduction to, principles of animation and characters loosely, as much as 3 years ago to 4 years ago Noah could. And so it definitely, I've definitely had a background in animation, or at least art. Kind of the I was definitely the biggest artist in my family growing up. Definitely my biggest hobby. So yeah, 100%.
Hey, Noah, with that previous channel where it was kind of like your sandpit of playthings with YouTube, like, did you have any expectations with that, or was that just for the pure fun and creativity of it?
I didn't expect it to get anywhere, and it really didn't. with that being said, though, when a video did get a decent amount of views, I was obviously overjoyed, because when you know, when you're not used to anyone looking at the stuff you're doing or the content you're producing, and then all of a sudden you have a video that just decides that, yeah, we're going to show this to everyone. That's really cool. But I really didn't have any intentions of it going anywhere, and it really didn't. So this was definitely a much more of like it's a fresh start, you know? It was like, okay, here's a clean slate, new kind of content. I'm already familiar kind of with the medium, and see where it goes. See where it goes. But the old channels, no, I didn't expect to go anywhere.
And how did that channels pick up? Like, how did you start building your audience? Was it like a slow burn, or did it, start stacking on people immediately? How did it work for you?
Yeah. So my first video didn't perform well, as most people's don't, but it must have been like 3 or 4 videos in where I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a video, and this is gonna be the one. This is the big boy. And I might not have the chronology of the events perfect, because it's been a while since I really revisited it. But I was like, okay, this is going to be the video. I'm very excited. This is going to be the one that makes me blow up. I'm going to put my all into it. I started doing like 3D backgrounds. I started like really upping. I say in quotations. You can't see that on the audio, but in the video I'm doing it. This is, you know, the one that really is going to take my content to the next level here. And it was called the 12-year-old flirt. Didn't do that well, but immediately after that, I made a video called 5 Types of People on Discord. It's kind of infamous now, because it's kind of responsible for me getting any traction on the website. So I made that video. I was really very proud of it. And then this other animator, Tim Tom, hit me up. I was pretty good friends with him at that point. He's another YouTube animator that did like life stories, very inspired by The Odd Ones Out and all that. His style back then was practically a carbon copy. I can say that with good faith and good confidence, because I know he knows, and I know that he's changed his style to really deviate from that, and good on him. But it was basically James 2. You know, his content was basically that kind of thing. But he had his own unique inflections to his voice. He had his own unique pacing of jokes. He had his own unique everything. Like it was except for the art, but it was his own thing, you know? So he got really big. He blew up. He was like one of the fastest growing channels. And I forget which year this was. It must have been 2017, but he blew up, really fast growing channel. And just after a couple of videos, and I was on his Discord server like all the time. I was like talking to his fans, and I was eventually I talked to, like, became good friends with like his moderators, and I became pretty good friends with him. We played Minecraft and whatnot. And so after I make that 5 Types of People on Discord video, he hits me up. He's like, hey, Noah, I'm doing this live stream where I'm showcasing 10 animation YouTubers that I think have a good amount of potential on the website. And I want to give as much publicity essentially as possible to, as kind of just like an amplifying voice, or someone that has a voice in the community, kind of trickling that down to smaller creators that I think deserve it. And so he's like, yeah, do you want to be on this live stream for a 5-minute segment? I'm like, yeah, oh, absolutely. I was in Florida at the time, and I didn't have access to any good like camera equipment, microphone like equipment. I was borrowing my brother's laptop to like work on videos while I was on vacation with my family in Florida. And I must have been only at like 50 subscribers, 70, tops 100. So we're doing the live stream, and he was like, Noah, how many subscribers would you be happy with walking away today? We're on the live stream, like living or on air. And he's like, how many subscribers would you be happy with walking away with today? I'm like, yeah, maybe like I'll take 300. You know, there's a decent amount of people watching this, but the chance of anyone really finding my content intriguing or engaging in any ways is very small. So I'm like, yeah, like 300, 400, whatever. Like I'd take that. And I check the live sub count, and it's at 1,000. just like that, just like 1,000 from all these people watching. And there was a decent amount of people watching, but proportionately it was absolutely like mind numbing that would even happen. And so I'm incredibly grateful for that, because I seriously credit that with being like one of the biggest jump starts for my channel. And I'm willing to admit that, you know, it's like it was early on, and I really don't think I would be in this position without that initial burst of publicity. And yeah, no, I'm really thankful for that opportunity. But that was definitely responsible for it. The majority of it was that initial boost. And then after that, I just kept on making content. People were like, "Hey, I like this." The Discord video that I made, the 5 types of people on Discord video, really started picking up traction, and it really started like going somewhere. I think right now it's my highest viewed video because it just keeps on going. It's like it's kind of like a timeless a timeless masterpiece that doesn't age. I know it's really, and trust me, I thought of all of this when I first made the video. I was really just a chess master. No, like it was, I literally just made it because I was on Discord a lot, and I'm like, yeah, these are people that I run into. So here's the kinds of people on Discord. And fast forward to today, there's still people saying, "Oh, you forgot number 6. You forgot number 7. Here's a full list of 30 types of Discord users that you numbskull completely forgot to put in the video." I'm like, I made this 3 years ago. What do you want from me? But that blew up. It is I think my most viewed video, and the comments still haunt me. It is a dreadful thing. Really good.
You ever gonna revisit it? Like 5 more people you'd meet?
Oh, gosh, no, no.
What do you call that? No, you sort of call that out. There's people who keep asking for that, and every now and then you mention that in other videos. Like, basically, stop asking, right? Like,
yeah, but it's kind of become like a little bit of a joke there, an in-joke of sorts. But yeah, so like for this past April Fools, I made a video that was like 5 more people on Discord, five types of people on Discord, part 2 essentially.
Right.
And I was like, these suckers, like, so they'd click on it, and instead of it being, it's April Fools, so instead of it being 5 types of people on Discord, it was just like a 2-minute or 1-minute history lesson on the economic crisis of, like, I don't know. I forget the year. I don't even remember what I said in the video, but some economic crisis that happened in the 1800s.
GFC. How does that go with the audience though? Like, where you sort of this long-awaited sequel to the video that everyone's been asking for, and you gave them that, to like a ton of people just not get it? Like, what happened?
So, in all honesty, I don't even get it, because there really isn't any joke. It's literally just like economics. But like that was it. That was the joke. But everyone, for some reason, there's people in the comments that were like, I actually watched the entire thing through, and I actually kind of really liked it. And I'm like, oh, okay, what? Like, yeah, you should do more of these videos, because it's so entertaining to learn about history in such a cyberpunk way. Because I had like this blaring like bassy music in the background, as the whole environment has this kind of like red cyberpunk aesthetic to it, and people are like, yeah, I actually kind of want you as my history teacher now. Go, okay.
Oh, hey, look, as I guess as an animator, especially in StoryTime, and a lot of animators around, they often put a lot of themselves into the work. Personal stories, your own set of emotions. It's really sort of out there on the surface, more so than a lot of other YouTubers. How have you found that process? Like, obviously, you're developing that deep relationship with the fans.
Yeah, no, that's something that's always really, really challenging for people, especially if you don't have a good personality. But no, like, but if you really kind of don't know how to put yourself out there to that large group of people, it can be really tough to kind of figure out how to handle it. Like when there's a lot of people watching you and your personality, it kind of can throw you for a loop. And I've really never had any prior experience to this kind of thing. A lot of people watching my YouTube videos, so personality driven stuff, you're kind of putting yourself under a lot of scrutiny, and not only like your content, but like you as a person, because you're kind of having to moderate, like, okay, I think this joke is funny, or I think that this part of the story is like interesting, but you don't know if anyone else really will. And you don't care when you first start, because it's like, okay, maybe only like 10 people are going to see this, or maybe like only 20 people. I can make that joke that might be a little bit offensive to people, or I can make this joke that might be stupid, but I kind of think is funny, or this part of the story that I think is interesting. And you just don't care when you're smaller, or at least I didn't. And now that there's like people, when people first started watching my stuff relatively consistently, it was weird, because I was kind of second guessing a lot of the stuff that I was doing in a way. And I still do, in all honesty, because it's just a little bit nerve wracking, because if you put yourself out there in some kind of way that maybe your audience doesn't connect with or doesn't really relate to, then then it kind of, it'll fall flat, and that kind of, it's hard to not take that as a personal thing, that, oh, they didn't just not like my joke, but it's also any other joke that I make that isn't funny to these people, or any part of these kind of stories that I tell, they don't like this. And it's not just a story that I'm telling anymore. This is something that, this is just me, and they don't like me. So that's something that I personally struggled with. I don't think everyone has. I think that maybe it's, people are susceptible to it, and I'll be self-aware about that until the cows come home. But it sometimes it doesn't help too much, and sometimes it can be a little bit tough to like connect with your audience in that way, because you're under constant self-scrutiny as to if what you're doing is even something that they would connect with in any way. So how I've been handling it personally is just occasionally throwing in the thing that maybe I'll show to, because I like to send my scripts to other people to review, and then they're like, okay, cut this out, that wasn't that interesting, or here's a joke that I thought of, you can maybe throw into your script, and I'll do that back and forth with a couple of my friends and or other creators, and we'll give each other notes. And so sometimes if I think a joke is really funny and I like have it in my head that this is something I really enjoy, but like maybe the person I sent it to was like, I didn't laugh. Not the strongest one. I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to keep it in. And sometimes that'll be a joke that the audience laughs at, and sometimes it's not. But because I've kind of learned to moderate what I'm doing in that way, like it's not every single joke I'm not going out on a limb for every single joke I make. It's only a couple bits of the story that maybe not everyone would find interesting, I'll keep in. So when I do throw in that occasional one that only I really, in all the review that I do with my peers and all that, whenever there's a joke or part of the story that only I find interesting, sometimes I'll just leave it in, and it's just to experiment with it. And a lot of the time that's actually something that the audience connects to or actually found interesting or funny, and it's really reassuring in that way. But then there's also the part of it where it's like, okay, I kind of have to disconnect myself from whatever my audience thinks of me and my kind of jokes or bits of the story. So it's like a constant kind of back and forth there that I'm still trying to learn how to fix. That's why I'm not really coming up here with a solution, but these are just things I'm experimenting with to kind of see where they lead mental health wise, and leave like in video production wise. So it's an ongoing process for sure.
Hey, is there a bit of like, you've kind of got to push yourself and be uncomfortable? Like, is that to get better? Like, is that sort of an underlying?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Specifically with the social side of stuff, like connecting with the audience, it's just it's foreign to me. You know, I kind of like, it's not something that I've really, having an audience that large kind of looking in on you and your personality is something that's completely new. So it's definitely a lot of uncomfortable boundary pushing. Okay, what's okay? What can I improve about myself? What's even the bits of me I should be putting out there and I shouldn't be? What are people watching my channel for? And then kind of honing in on those spots that overlap, you know, between what I like doing and what they like watching, and hopefully have a really good balance there.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you obviously tell stories that are, you know, sometimes they're edgy, but sometimes they're just like, you know, insights into your life. I mean, I did like the story about your sister poisoning you with Windex, which I guess
Still mad at her.
Yeah,
still mad at her to this day. But yeah,
it's funny. I actually strangely related to that a little bit because I drank that. You know that blue liquid you put into toilets to disinfect them?
Oh, yeah, for sure. What is it called?
Yeah.
There's a lot of brands of it.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I'd mistaken, but I did that myself, so no one really poisoned me. I just happened to just give it a quick.
Completely voluntarily.
Yeah,
Okay.
voluntarily. But the moment you said, I'm like, oh yeah, and I said, yeah, well, that wasn't pleasant. I can completely understand where you coming from with that, which is obviously extremely dangerous.
Yeah,
but,
it's not fun. It's
No.
not blue Kool-Aid, and that was a mistake that I made. That's a mistake that I think probably hundreds. There has to be other people, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of this common bond with only a key 100 people in the United States.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But I mean, those stories are really interesting. And what is your? I mean, there's obviously you talk about your family and stuff like that. How do how do families feel about being shared in the stories as well?
They love it. I mean, from everything I've heard, they really. I usually like to have a pretty thick wall between what I do in my business life, I consider YouTube business and personal life, because I really don't like any crossover there for privacy reasons, for um, reasons of I don't want someone that I walk up to that I've known only personally through my entire life just randomly coming back with, "Oh yeah, and I saw your new video the other day," and like I just really don't like that, because it feels like almost like a weird violation of business privacy, even though that's public stuff out there. I really like to keep it thick there, and what I share um, online, and what parts of online me get shared with my personal life. So there's not a whole lot of overlap there. But with that being said, everyone that I've talked to, all my siblings that have talked to, that have been in videos, and even the ones that haven't, I think they're pretty good fan of them. They like seeing themselves being portrayed through the eyes of someone that experienced it in a different perspective. And I try to draw them nice and try to be, generous with the proportions and everything. But so it's like I think they're okay with it, and I know they're okay with it. I don't know why I'm sounding so inconfident and like a babbling idiot. I know they like it. If they watch this and they say they don't, I know they're lying, and I know where you live. So we'll hash this out later.
Yeah. Speaking of lived, are you on a farm? You have goats, right? You said you had goats.
I do, yeah. So it's kind of a farm. It's more like rural, but it's really not like open fields, big pastures of cows eating hay bales. It's I just have a small, not even acre of land, and I got goats on there and everything, and some chickens. So
Nice. It sort of just shows you can be a YouTuber and be successful from anywhere, can't you?
yeah. Oh well, I mean, if I'm doing it, you could probably be in a sewer and be making like let's plays, so or vlogs. I'd like to see a sewer vlog, by the way. If someone out there does sewer vlogs, please have them on the podcast, and I want to be a guest host. I want to
It's amazing. We've had creators from like places like they'd be in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and they're like, oh, we can make it work. And it's like it's one of those rare sort of occupations where you can actually literally be really far from people. Although I think probably COVID and stuff have proven you can probably not have to be specifically around people all the time to do great stuff. So it is interesting. But I mean, you do have a very big community, especially around the other StoryTime animators, the other animators. You guys are pretty close as a group, aren't you?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's really one of those situations where like everybody kind of knows everybody, and if you don't know someone else, then you know someone else that knows someone else, and you can get in contact with them. You've probably been in a Discord call with this other person. They've been in a Discord call with this other person. Everyone kind of just hangs out, like they by mutual extension, by whatever. Like it's pretty tight knit.
It's amazing.
It seems like specifically around the animators. I mean, we met you through Mars, and that whole group know each other so well, and you're so tight, and that sort of camaraderie and that help and assistance to give each other is really great. And you don't tend to see that in a lot of other groups of YouTubers, but the animators seem to be very, very close knit. Do you know why that is?
I've thought about this before, and I didn't come to any I came to a pretty solid conclusion based off of what I'm observing, but I don't have any hard statistics to back this up or anything. It's really like, I wonder if this is it. But so what I'm thinking is that I think animators, because of just how the person chose to be an animator, chances are they want to be inside. They want to be talking to people not in person, but at their own leisure on Discord maybe, or on Skype. And they don't really, they're spending a lot of their time online, and they spend a lot of time watching other people's videos. And usually it's other animators to get inspiration or to fill in background noise. I'd say that is probably a very large contributor to why animators specifically are so tightly knit. I'd also say that because it's such I'm not going to say it's the hardest genre to do on YouTube. There's far more difficult genres like video essays. The amount of research you have to do to make a good video essay that's compelling and interesting to watch, that's going to take you just absolutely weeks of research and studying and writing to even come up with anything that anyone would watch. But animation is still fairly difficult to make a good and compelling animation. So I'd say there's almost like a shared bond of martyrdom in that way, of suffering, to kind of like, okay, we're all putting in a really big amount of work. I can connect with this other animator in that same respect, or maybe we use a similar software and there's some like gimmicks about it that we like to in-joke about. Like there's just a lot more in this kind of genre that almost not forces, but it almost it makes it much easier to connect with other people that do it too, specifically. And that's just what I've observed. I can't say that that's the concrete reason why, but I also think that if you're putting your personality out there as a storytime animator or as an animator as a whole, making comedically driven stuff or even just interesting stuff, you're probably a decently interesting person to talk to. And if I see another person that does the same thing I do and does use the same kind of software, or maybe even the enemy software, the stuff we tease other people about, there's always something to connect with them about, and maybe hop into a call with each other and talk while we're working on our next videos or stuff like that.
And like, what we like, when we were talking to Mars, he was talking about sort of the future of storytime animation and sort of where it was going in his opinion. What do you think the future of storytime is? It's a hard one.
How long? Yeah, right. Because it's like, how long?
In 30 words or less, where do you think it's going?
Oh, how far are we talking? How far in the future?
Well,
do you have a solid number?
No, I don't have a solid number. I just want to just in general, where do you feel it's trending towards? I mean, in the short term and long term, whatever you think.
Creativity. There's going to be a lot of people making different stuff soon, because there's been a very large period of time where people have established talking about a story that happened to them in their life and just into a microphone, editing it in Audacity, and then animating it in Adobe Animate, and that's it. I don't know if you like me mentioning all those brands or not on your podcast, but anyways, these are the softwares we use. So yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Adobe sponsor these crazy Australian men, but essentially, that's been a very, very popular mainstream of content for storytime videos. Is here's something that happened, put that into an audio editing software, put that into an animation software, upload that to YouTube, editing it minimally in I don't know, Windows Movie Maker. But that's been a very popular thing. Everyone's sick of that. No one wants to watch that straightforward stuff anymore. I think we're going to see a lot of people really branching out and adapting to that void in the market of creative storytime animation really soon. People animating much more skits into their video and much more maybe some live action hybrids. That kind of, we already seen that with people like I think it's Young Don's, who's he? This guy Eli James. I think we've seen a lot of that. I think we're also going to start seeing a lot more people being self-conscious, or at least making fun of themselves, or maybe just poking fun at themselves for making that kind of content, or making a lot more parodies of storytime stuff. Just because, when there's prevalence of a certain breed of content, you're going to find people that are either seriously opposed to it, which is, a kind of a subjective thing. Can't say that's wrong or right. But then you're also going to have a group of people that are like, I enjoy this, but I also, here's some criticisms. Here's some stuff that I think that they could do better. And here's some jokes I'm going to make that don't tear down the community, but more just poke fun at it and encourage people to do a little bit better through a very non-destructive medium. So I think we're going to see a lot more parodies. I think we're going to see a lot more maybe some skits, mixed media stuff, live action, a lot more just crossing over of other genres to spice up specifically the animation storytime community.
Yeah, interesting.
And that's what I can figure, Yeah.
Did you, going back to your change in style from that, let's say, traditional storytime animation to this new style, which is both from your art style, the stories you tell, and the character, with this hectic, frenetic, otherworld skip thing that I don't know how to describe it. If you haven't checked it out, strap yourself in and you're in for one hell of a ride. It's it's not your typical storytime animation, and you've sort of highlighted that. Did you start shifting to that from a personal creative pursuit, or is it that you kind of we're seeing audiences were getting there's a lot of that type of content out there, and audiences were looking for something different?
Yeah, with pivoting to more skit driven kind of style of content, or even just non-storytime style of content in general. It wasn't something that I really did because I saw some kind of gap in the market, or some sort of thing that, oh, not a lot of people are doing this, so I'm gonna do it just so I'm deliberately different. There was a little bit of that latter one, actually, because I was kind of just things were getting a little bit stagnant on my channel. I was like, oh, I kind of want to spice some stuff up. I kind of want to change some stuff. And but more than that, there was also just this drive to really just keep on getting better at my craft and improving. That's kind of why I'm on YouTube. A lot of the reason why I'm even on this platform is that I kind of see it as a benchmark, essentially, as to why I'm as to my progress in animation and my content and whatnot. So I was like, okay, I've been making all these StoryTime videos. Here's something I haven't done: me fighting a robot in one of my videos. And so on Halloween, I think it must have been a Halloween video, or at least maybe a little bit after or so. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a typical video where I'm talking about my random thoughts, because that was a big thing that was happening in the community, was random thoughts. It was like talking about stuff you're thinking about over the course of the last couple of months, put into video form. And they were so fun to do because you weren't constrained to any kind of format other than no format. You could just say, oh, I've been thinking about bees. Why do bees do that thing where they flap their wings and they sting people? Am I right, guys? And like, you could just do that, and everyone's like, yeah, yes, me too. And it was like a lot of fun because you could just do that, and people would like enjoy those kinds of thoughts, and it was really good all around for the community. But I was like, all right, I'll start at the video like that, but then maybe halfway through, there's this evil version of me that like cuts in, and he's I don't know, he doesn't like Airoah, or like the character that I made, and then they fight, duke it out in the battle, and then like that's the video. And people liked it. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I like it. I like making this. Let's do more. And then I just kept on going on from there, ramping it up and making different twists in each video, kind of just trying to like differentiate myself from some of the crowd. But more importantly than anything, just trying to get better at my craft, hone in my abilities, like learn new stuff about the software I'm using, and storytelling, and picking up some new techniques that usually I wouldn't do, but I ended up sticking with up until now. So I've really just been using this genre to kind of aid me in those kind of goals.
This is a bit of a side thing. You mentioned bees at the end of the dirt video. You said my encyclopedic knowledge of bees. Do you actually have an encyclopedic knowledge of bees?
So
I'm pretty sure you said that.
No comment. No comment. Yeah, no, I can't talk about that now.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nope. That is under strict NDA.
Right.
I'll have you guys sign the contract afterwards. But no, we just cannot talk about the bee thing.
Can we ask the goats about the bees? Maybe they'll give us the inside word on the bees.
If you get into contact with them, go for it.
But we'll have a chat with the goats, find out about the bees.
I'll have my lawyers in contact. But yeah, no, so can't talk about the bees.
All right. Well, we're going to ask about this though. I mean, you have a very impressive animation style, and it's very mixed, and there are lots of really, really great elements in it. But how long does it take you to put together an episode from start to finish?
First off, thanks. I appreciate that. Like seriously, because I don't know, it's kind of weird to have people say that in person, because I don't know, I don't usually talk to people, but or about my content. But so each episode really obviously depends on length. Obviously, it depends on subject matter and you know what I want to cover, what kind of techniques I want to use and whatnot. But assuming that I'm experimenting that video, which more common than not is the case, with the exception of a couple more recent ones that I've kind of gone a little bit stagnant with. But if assuming that I'm using a new technique and I'm just doing like a typical length video, it's not like an outlier, about a month and a half to 2 months or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Solid work.
So quite a while, but I mean, I'm also, you know, realistic about like, yeah, I'm one person. I'm trying to learn stuff with each video that I make and trying to expand on this. But I also, the reason it's not like 3 months or 4 months is that I usually allot like a certain amount of time each individual day for focus work, where I'm absolutely not distracted by any technology, any like social media. And then I really just go into the zone every single day for a certain amount of time. And then I stick with that and just work. And then the rest I can be like listening to music or something. But I try to keep on a pretty good schedule for working on videos.
Do you think fans appreciate the effort that goes into a video?
Oof. Yeah, I think almost a little bit too much sometimes, which I might be weird to say, but like I think people care about me too much sometimes, which is so it's so odd to me because I'll get comments that are like, no, the quality of the videos. I'm not saying this to puff my chest. This is just like a genuine comment I got on my more recent videos. They're like, know what? I really like the quality of the video, but I have to admit it's very disturbing to me how you're getting these out at such a rate. Please stop. Like, please stop. Please take time to not work on videos. Like,
Yeah.
just, I hope you're getting your sleep. I hope you're getting your rest properly. And it was like, it's very thoughtful of them. Like, I really appreciate that. It is actually one of the first comments that I've ever gotten regarding my general mental health. And it was, I'm not going to say it was like the wake up call or anything that like, oh, wait, these people actually care about me sometimes, but it was also like it was also really inspiring to hear that. So I've definitely been, as of lately, especially the past couple of months, really trying to moderate what I'm doing in terms of work and social life and spending time with family and friends and all that. Yeah,
That's amazing. That's a next level connection you're creating with these people, right? And like, you know, that like it sounds like a lot of your audience probably understand the effort then that goes into creating a video, and you know you're saying like 4 to 6 weeks, and the but like for people who don't understand, what is taking that long? Like, what do you like? Maybe like you know you mentioned you write scripts, which is hopefully people would get that and you share it with a bunch of other people. But what are you doing when you're creating animation that is the thing that takes so long? Like,
specifically with the animation side of things, I mean, it's just a medium that requires time. Generally, I'm not great at writing scripts. That takes like probably a good half week to week of the process, just because you know, if you have a bad script, animation and voice acting aside, yeah, bad delivery can ruin a joke or something. But if you don't have a good script and any good material that you can even scrape by with good voice acting, it's not going to be a good piece of content, and there's not going to be anyone that enjoys that. So I always like to take my time with that. Specifically with animation, though, why videos of this genre, of anyone, not even just me, why they take so long is that you're a one-man team. You're having to make all these different moving parts come together in a way that actually, hopefully by the end of the month slash 2 month slash 3 month period, comes out to something resembling a cartoon or something resembling a moving picture that's bouncy and smeary and has these well integrated animation techniques or nice coloring. Somehow you have to pull not even an idea of your head, put it onto paper, format it so it has a good structure, have jokes about a usually ordinary event that just happened. Maybe it's an absurd event, but like putting a joke onto something that happened to you one day incidentally, and not just one joke, it's a lot of jokes, a lot of different jokes about this very mediocre thing that happened to you, or maybe even an engaging thing that happened to you, but you still have to make it funny or at least make it interesting to watch. And then you have to take that, you have to voice act it, so then those elements you just put on paper, people can listen to that and connect with the original intention of you writing that. And hopefully through voice acting or whatever, amplify or whatever, through voice acting, amplify those jokes to a point where people maybe laugh, maybe keep on watching the video and don't click off to watch someone else that's more funny or more interesting or more educational than you are. And then not only voice act it, you have to edit together, and then you have to figure out some way to put this to visuals. Like, okay, I'm just talking about how, I don't know, I was walking down the street and this car started following. This didn't happen to me, but I'm just using an example. I'm walking down the street and the car came up next to me. What do I draw for that? I guess a person walking, and there's a car, but I don't know how to draw a car. So let me look up pictures of cars. Okay, it wasn't that car, but I also don't want to draw that car because that's boring. Let me draw this other car. That looks awful. Okay, let me watch a tutorial on how to draw a car better. And then I'll learn how to color the glossy part of the car, or maybe I'm even a car enthusiast. I'm the best car drawer around. I still have to figure out how the human legs work to make them walk, or maybe I don't want them to walk. Maybe I just want them to slide, so he goes on the ground. It saves me all the time. But people notice those kinds of budget cuts, and they're usually like, could have done better there. So maybe I guess I'll draw him walking, and maybe I'll draw the car, and maybe the car will have the wheels moving, and maybe the background will show that I'm in an urban environment of sorts, and maybe there'll be telephone poles. And then, oh, I'm just talking to the camera now in a way, some sort of point of the video where I'm addressing the audience directly. So I guess I'll draw my entire room, and I'll draw my character looking at the camera and putting his hand up and crossing his arms every so often. And okay, and then I have to make the outro, and it just keeps on going on. And it just, all of those elements, you have to somehow make that all in the end come together to make some coherent story, cartoon, something, and then you have to edit it, and then you have to upload it. Like, there's so many steps to this. It's not just filming and editing and then that's it. It's just all these different layers. So that's at least, that's my take on that. I'm a solo animator, I'm a solo writer, voice actor, and everything. That's why it takes me that long to make videos. And that's not even including like experimenting or maybe learning something new and implementing. Well, I guess it kind of was with the car example, but maybe you want to throw in 3D or something, or have it completely reenacted through zebras. But
I actually, that's actually one of the best ways people have ever explained their process to us. That was actually really good. It was detailed, but really, really on point, which is actually really great.
Maybe I droned on a little bit too much there, but anyways, that's just
No,
that's
no,
kind of a
detail
window,
is
Yeah, it's all
kind
about
of a
detail.
window into how it works. So
going back to like the whole, like the evolution of storytime animation, do you know where it started and where it came from?
oh, it's like the old caveman, huh? The old first man.
And the style, that
gosh.
distinct.
I can't say. I don't know the first person to ever do storytime animation probably is lost to the seas. He's probably like just in the tide somewhere, getting dragged back into the Kraken depths and whatnot, and completely drowned by now. I don't know the first person to do it. Maybe not. And the first person that I ever know, that I personally known to have ever done it, would have to be, I think it was Domix. It was Domix and this guy Swoozy, and it was those two that really set down the groundwork there originally. That's why I can imagine me the first man. I can't say that I was drawn to the genre through them, but I think we can credit a lot of why I exist, why Cameron Clayton exists, why James exists, why Jaden exists. Like, I think we can accredit a decent amount to that. And I don't know. Were they the first people to do it? I don't. Do you guys have this researched already? Like,
No,
what? Okay.
This is the challenge I think I'm going to set us is I want to get to maybe the bottom of it if possible. Let's go down and fight the Kraken and beat that person up.
Get a skeleton back. Yeah.
Follow up on that. Then you said that wasn't what they, those OG channels weren't the ones that brought you into the realm of this genre. Was there one channel that did, or?
Yeah. Oh, I get excited every single time I tell the story. Oh, well, I haven't told it much, but I'm also gonna try to tell it from a completely fresh perspective, because I've kind of, within friends, I've kind of joked about this, but so there's this guy, his name's Jack. I'm not gonna dox him. His name's Jack, and he runs this channel called Jackademia. He maybe has, I think he has around 20,000 subscribers or so. This guy, he made this video, and it was about I think it was, was he talking about? I think he was talking about colleges, because he was just he was out of high school, and he was looking into going to colleges and whatnot. And amidst some odd ones out videos I've seen back then, or I saw back then, and some of those kinds of contents, I saw Jack's video, and it was like when it first came out. I might have already had my channel by then, so I can't even, like, I actually don't, again, I don't know the main order where this happened, but he's the most memorable instance of this. So I saw this video about him searching for colleges and which ones to go through and how confusing it was. And it was animated in this really appealing art style, and his vocal work was just mint. I love his voice. It's so good. And he was like really what inspired me to, if not start, then really keep on going and kick up my game. And amidst all of that, we eventually became friends. We became friends, and I've kind of known his friend group for a while after joining the community and starting to do animation, and then I met some of his friends and some of their friends, and fast forward to like a couple months ago, a ton of us go to New York for some meetups and some networking events and whatnot, and we ended up, as it happened, somehow me and him, we had to rent like a hotel to stay at while we were in New York. It was me and like 4 other people or something in this like a hotel room with two queen size beds. So picture that. And so somehow it ended up that we were so cramped in there that me and Jack had to sleep in the same bed for space sake. I want, like, just thinking about that, it sounds so mundane, but the idea that like I was watching this guy and I was inspired him to even like start doing this, or at least keep on doing this, and he was like the driving force in me getting better at this and continuing. To think that like just 3 years later I'd be sleeping in the same bed as this guy, right next to him, like less than a foot away, is in New York City, is just mind-numbing to me. And yeah, so that he was the guy. He was the guy, Jackademia. Look him up if you haven't, you know, or people listening, you know. That's the guy. His college video. So that's my piece.
Dreams can come true.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to Jackademia. That's awesome. Everyone listening can set their goals. They're like, oh, what YouTube creator inspires me?
Yeah.
I'll be, you know,
maybe
sharing
one
a
day you can
queen
sleep in
bed
bed
and-
with them, you know.
Oh.
Maybe you can, you know. Yeah. But all right, don't quote me on that one. But yeah, maybe it can happen. Who
You're
knows?
living proof. It happens.
Yeah. Hey, I guess find someone
Ah.
that's looking for colleges, start imitating them down to the T, branch off a little bit, sleep in the same bed. It's a very simple 4-step process, and I encourage everyone to try it. But yeah, there you go.
Noah's secret source to YouTube success.
Yeah, sleep with people in bed. So yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Fred, you were going to say something about something. And
I was going to say that I think that's an excellent, awesome way to actually end it up. That was a good story. But Ant does always have a question at the end, which we ask every creator, which is Ant.
Tell me about the bees.
Don't tell me about the bees.
No,
no,
specifically
it's
said no.
not about the bees. No, the question is like, do you have any top tips for aspiring creators? Maybe let's just say in animation, because that's your area.
Let's hone it down to animation. Okay. Yeah. Because I can't tell you, I couldn't tell you how to make a vlog. I couldn't tell you that. But I can tell you that, listen, if you're getting into animation, okay, let's say you're a little infant baby in animation. There's going to be a lot of people that tell you, don't worry about the software. A software doesn't limit you in any way. I agree with this, but if you're just getting into animation, don't get an animation that crashes on you or stops working or is the main issue in your workflow. If you're just learning how to do this and you're using a software for the first time, and you're also new to the art form and new to the medium, all these like unknowns clashing together, and then something goes wrong with your software, you're not going to know if you did something wrong or it did something wrong. And that's going to be crazy discouraging. So I'm not saying get the perfect software, just get something that's not broken. Always just practice seriously every single day, just drawing something. I don't care if you have MS Paint. That doesn't crash. That doesn't do anything wrong. Just draw in MS Paint, you know, practice circles, practice faces or whatever. Just don't get something that breaks, because then you don't know if you did it. You don't know if it's a software side. You don't know if you should quit and never do it again. But yeah, man, just like everyone's going to say this, but there's a reason that everyone says it. And that's because it's true. Just keep on honing in your craft. Keep on developing that and learn new stuff every single day. Don't keep on practice the same things every single day, but add some spice to it, add some flavor, add some stuff that you haven't done before, and really try to expand those horizons in every single way that you find interesting, or maybe that you've always wanted to learn, or just something in that area. Don't get stagnant, you know, in your learning process, because that's going to be more discouraging than even your software messing up. So keep it fresh.
That is a
Brilliant.
great tip, mate. No, thanks so much for joining us on Creator Generation. Yeah, hopefully we get to chat to you again sometime soon in the future.
Hey, thanks for having me. Seriously, this has been a really, really good time.
Excellent. Awesome, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Noah.
See ya.
Creative generation on the mic.